Goosebumps, the scariest series in children's literature. I've taken it upon myself to summarize every Goosebumps story ever told, in the hopes that we all come out knowing a bit more about the things that go bump in the night. Not just the stories, but their adaptations too. So if you're ready, viewer beware, you're in for a scare, as we dive into book number 6, Let's Get Invisible. First is our original Jacobus cover from '93. This is our first cover to actually feature a living child on it. Probably one that doesn't match his description in the book. But what's this? It looks like he's turning invisible? Whoa! Our tagline is, now you see him, now you don't. Our back tagline is, disappearances can be deadly. Death? In a kid's book? Oh my. Now here is a surprise that I am so excited to show you guys. This is the first book that I've managed to grab the UK cover. What can I say? I'd like to waste my money on Goosebumps. Well, the first 32 or so UK printings have their own covers like this. One of the most interesting facts about them is that, at least according to the wiki, we have no clue who the author was. For the actual cover, all the UK ones have this bubbly design. Our artwork seems to show some hands grabbing at our main character from the mirror, but he looks happy? How weird. I'm going to actually go out of order here and talk about the 2015 cover, and you'll see why soon. It seems the kid in Dorman's illustration is going invisible head first. I'm definitely getting the feeling that a mirror is relevant to the story. I wonder why. This one doesn't have any bonus features, even though it's only the 6th book. They didn't release this reprint until the movie came out. I would say it's because there's an invisible boy in the movie, but the one in the movie is from My Best Friend is Invisible. So they probably realized, maybe we should reprint book 6. So the last standalone book here is the 2003 reprint. This copy's pretty beat up, but as usual, there's not much to say other than it's got a teal cover instead of the original green one. I saved this one for last because it's nearly identical to our only collection, the Vanishing collection. Of course, just like the hair-raising collection, this is the last time we'll see it. It's also the last collection printed like this in general, with 3 books in order of their publication. It would have been so convenient for people to just get these 3-in-1 paperback books, but they didn't bother after this. Oh well. Other than that, though, the cover is slightly brighter than the 2003 print. I don't know if that shows up in the camera. But with the covers done, it's time for the summary. The book starts off with this amazing opening hook.
I went invisible for the first time on my 12th birthday.
And you wouldn't believe whose fault that was. Whitey, this book's nosy little dog. He's all black, so he's named Whitey. Funny. Fun fact, according to It Came From Ohio, Stein's autobiography, his childhood dog was also named Whitey, but this one and that one are not the same breed. Anyway, he seems to have caused some trouble in the attic, but we need to roll back a bit. It was a rainy Saturday, on our main character Max's birthday. He takes a lot of time to focus on his hair because he has these embarrassingly big ears that must be covered. Lefty is also here, Max's younger brother. His real name is Noah, but Max calls him Lefty because you wouldn't believe it, he's left-handed. There's also an entire paragraph that dances around the fact that Lefty probably has ADHD, but we'll see if this hyperactivity is relevant. First to arrive at the party is Zach, Max's best friend. He even brought a gift, which he spoils right away, a bunch of re-gifted comic books that Zach already read, only a little bit wet from the rain. The better surprise is Zach's haircut. It's long on the right side and buzzed short on the left side, kind of like a young Skrillex. He asks, where are the girls at? Well, there will be some, actually. April, Erin, and maybe Max's cousin Deborah. Erin shows up first. Apparently people call her Mouse because of her squeaky voice. Max thinks she's cute, but he'll never tell anybody about that. April shows up too, with little introduction other than the fact that she's shy. She gives him a present that feels like a CD, and Erin hasn't even bought him one yet. I'll give Max one thing so far. He isn't a crybaby. Usually I'd expect a Goosebumps kid to be the type that whines about his birthday gifts, sucking ass. So good job, Max. Mature of you. Despite the storm ruining all of their initial plans, the party goes well. 15 more unnamed kids show up and they play some Twister and watch a bit of Terminator. By the time everyone leaves, it's dark out and still storming. Well, Erin and April are still there. They were supposed to get picked up, but Erin's mom was late, so Max suggests going to his room to play with the Super Nintendo. If I had a nickel for every time that a Goosebumps book mentioned that girls don't like watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's surprising that it's happened twice. Because of a broken bulb, the group has to make it down this dark hallway to make it to Max's room at the end. But a shadowy figure leaps out of the closet. I'll be honest, when the book said the figure was howling, I expected it to be Whitey, but it was Lefty. God, those names are kind of confusing. I thought it was the dog. Whitey starts sniffing at a random door in the hall, which Max points out leads to the attic. Erin just blurts out that she loves attics and convinces the whole group to go check it out. Well, it's filled with old junk from Max's grandparents, and Erin loves old junk. April is scared shitless, but the kids keep looking around. Whitey's sniffing at something, so Max checks it out. A hidden door! Max cuts in from the future again to mention that this is where it all started. The secret hidden room that ruined everything. So what could possibly be in this hidden room? A mirror? That's actually it. A big rectangular mirror on a wooden base, and I guess there's a little light on the ceiling. What a strange little room. The mirror is perfectly clean, and it has a light of its own nestled at the top. Max reaches for the chain to turn it on, and when he does, the whole room lights up. The rest of the group looks horrified though. Max is still there, but they can't see him anymore. Annoyed by the bright light, Max pulls the chain again and he comes back. He's absolutely convinced that the group is joking about him turning invisible. His stubborn gaslighting even makes April think it's some kind of optical illusion. Max demands they prove it to him, but he has to believe it at least a little bit because he says that Lefty is too young to try. He tells Erin to pull it, and she reaches for the chain. Well, she does reach for it, but Erin's mom calls her downstairs. She's finally here to pick her and April up. Max's mom asks what the kids were even doing up here, and she's confused when they mention the mirror. This thing must really be a secret. I didn't mention it before, but Lefty's been constantly tossing this softball up and down the past few chapters, even though he isn't supposed to be. He ends up knocking a vase over, and he gets yelled at to the point where you almost feel bad for him. But a few minutes later, he's tossing that damn thing again. His own personal calming mechanism. A few days pass, and none of the kids have spoken about the mirror. Is it too boring? Or too scary? At night, Max can't help but think about it. Why is it even there? Who the hell made it? Was the invisible thing even real? He has to find out. Time for a midnight stroll to the attic. He makes it back to the secret room and everything seems fine. He looks normal. The mirror is fine. All that's left is to pull the chain again. But wait, there's a pair of eyes in the mirror staring back at him. Well, guess what? It's Lefty. He's been awake this whole time and followed Max up here.
Sometimes I wish I could pound him.
You know, people don't really use that phrase anymore. I wonder why. Well, Max says he can't beat him up because they live in a non-violent family. At least that's what his parents say.
Sometimes non-violence can be real frustrating. Know what I mean?
What do you mean? Lefty asks if Max is going to turn invisible again, and Max says that his breath smells bad, like lemons. What is going on right now? Well, anyway, Lefty wants to be part of these hijinks, so they decide to both be in front of the mirror, and Max will pull the chain. Well, it works. They're both invisible. I swear at least Erin was in the reflection the first time, but I guess you have to be like right under the light for it to work. So the invisibility seems pretty typical so far. Their bodies are both still there, but no seeing each other, no reflection. They play around for a bit like idiots until they talk about what they could even be doing with this. Maybe go spy on girls? Let's hope the book doesn't actually continue with that idea. It's about time to go back to normal. They're starting to feel weird, like light and floaty, so Max pulls the chain again, but they don't turn back this time. They both start freaking out, and Max frantically reaches for the chain but can't grab it. A bit too hard to grab things when you can't see your hands, I guess. It doesn't matter, though, because they soon reappear. They catch on to what I'm thinking right away. The more time you spend invisible, the more time it takes to come back. Smart assumption. Or is it? They had their fun, but Lefty thinks that they should tell Mom and Dad about it. No, they can't. Max still wants to use it. Why? To scare Zach, of course. Fast forward to Saturday, and our two hellions are eager to scare Zach, but they have to eat their chicken noodle soup and PB&J lunch first. A weird combo, especially for my audience. You know, YouTube says that half of my viewers aren't even in the United States, and the peanut butter and jelly sandwich is one of our finest American delicacies. Also, YouTube says 2/3 of you aren't subscribed, so if you like my content, please do that and stuff. Remember when I mentioned that Zach's new haircut is the young version of Skrillex? Well, Max's mom hates it. She does some classic passive-aggressive parent stuff, like asking Zach what his mom thinks about it. It's so funny that Zach mentions that his mom doesn't actually care. Relatable humor. The kids quickly run up to the attic. Lefty's so excited he face plants on the floor on the way to the mirror. There have been chapters from previous books with less pages than the ones dedicated to Matt stalling the mirror trick just to mess with Zach. So Max pulls the chain, goes invisible, and messes around with Zach just as planned. He decides to eventually come back, not because Zach wants him to, but because he feels gross again. Not just floaty, but weak, like the mirror is pulling him in. Waiting to return to normal, Max starts getting scared about the mirror. He doesn't actually know anything about it. What if it has some arbitrary magical rules like going permanently invisible on the third use? What if he never comes back? Well, he does. He feels horrible, but he can't show it. The prank was so cool. Zach really wants to try it out, but Max is hesitant. Hold on, where's Lefty? Why isn't he responding? He's gone! Did he turn invisible? What's going on? Max falls to the ground with his shaky little legs until he hears some giggling. Gotcha! Lefty was just hiding behind a box the whole time. Max and Zach beat him up and then have to chase him around this hot-ass attic. Well, that is until Aaron and April show up and want to hang out. It seems that April convinced Aaron that it was just an optical illusion, but Max realizes he doesn't really want to use the mirror anymore and tells the truth. The girls need some proof, so Aaron volunteers. But where's Zach? The mirror light is on, and he's gone! Really? 2 chapters in a row? How many times can you make a cliffhanger of someone disappearing in a book about invisibility before it gets old? Well, Zach is having fun, but he starts feeling the same nasty feeling that Max and Lefty had. He's been invisible for 5 minutes now, and he says that stuff is starting to feel far away, trapped in TV static. Max pulls the chain to turn the light off, and everybody's freaking out because, as we already know, it takes a while to come back. Max is telling everyone to be patient, but even he starts getting a little scared. Lefty wants to go get Mom, or somebody at least, but Zach comes back right then. He switches up quick. Being invisible is awesome. He wants to do it again before school so he can spy on the girls' locker room. Come on, man. Zach does mention feeling pulled away from everyone when he was invisible, but the one thing he knows is that he is the king of being invisible. April reluctantly has to be their timer, and Aaron pulls the chain. It's all fun and games until about 4 minutes, where she starts feeling weird like everybody else. She really wants out, so Max pulls the chain again. It takes 3 minutes for her to come back. We'll see if that's consistent. Zach starts being insufferable, constantly taunting Aaron for being so close to beating his record, but quitting out like a girl. These kids piss me off. It's Max's turn next, and again, even though he doesn't want to do it, peer pressure is too great. When Max says ready, Zach's gonna pull the chain and bring him back. 5 minutes. The record to beat. Here we go. Max spends the next few minutes wondering what the mechanism behind the light is. Perhaps he'll never know. As it reaches around 5 minutes, he starts to feel really far away. He says ready, and it seems like it takes ages for his words to reach Zach and vice versa. He's begging for Zach to bring him back now. The light keeps getting brighter. Zach then says the most horrifying thing yet. The chain is broken! Everyone is losing their minds. Even Lefty is standing completely still. Max feels like he's floating away, enveloped by the light. He can see Aaron grab a box and stand on it before everything goes white. Then dark. He's back! Aaron managed to reach up and find a tiny bit of the chain that was still attached. Wow, that was intense. Surely they'll learn their lesson and never do that again. 5 minutes and 48 seconds! New record! Everyone's itching to go invisible again. They just need to fix the chain. Well, except for April, the only reasonable person here. What if one of them never comes back? But that can't happen. Just gotta pull the string and everything's fine. The group thinks about how fun it would be to invisibly terrorize the school together, because none of them have actually tried going outside yet. Well, not yet. It's Lefty's turn to beat the record. Here we go again! Except no we don't, because Mom calls the kids down for dinner. Everyone else has gotta go. Grammy and Poppy are here too. Lefty's annoyed, but it'll have to wait. Aaron wants to come back tomorrow, but April and Max are busy. No school on Wednesday, so maybe then? The grandparents seem like sad old people, and they argue about soup for a while. Where the hell's Lefty anyway? Suddenly, his bowl of soup starts floating in midair. Max is the only one who notices, so he tries to loudly whisper to Lefty to get out of here, but who knows if it's working. Lefty raises up his glass of water, and Max tries to stop him, causing the water to spill all over the table. Lefty ruined everything. When I say he ruined everything, Max is actually talking about the invisibility. Somehow, he expected his dad to just ask why his brother was invisible instead of blaming Max. Well, luckily, the secret of the mirror is fine for now, and Max leaves to go find Lefty. He's pretty angry that he went invisible when it's not only irresponsible, but dangerous. Lefty doesn't care at all, though. He's just constantly mouthing off about how he wins the competition. Over 10 minutes being invisible. He even has the gall to ask why it's taking so long for him to return. Are you stupid? Of course. Dad almost comes upstairs, but Max deflects him away by the time Lefty reappears. Lefty actually says he didn't feel bad at all. He doesn't stop gloating that he's champion until Max grabs his shoulders and makes him promise not to use the mirror again. Of course, Lefty has his fingers crossed, but I guess Max doesn't care enough to call him out for it. Later at night, Aaron calls Max with a wonderful idea. The science fair's coming up, and if you win, you get a trophy and a gift card to Video World. So how about Max just bring this ginormous mirror to school? They can both present it, win the prize, and get rich and famous. Max tells her that that's a bad idea, and this time he's actually making sense. He mentions that the government or scientists will probably just take the mirror from them. The military might try and make an invisible army of people. Aaron is a bit too young to understand this concept much, though, because she wonders how they can do that when Max owns the mirror. Like that matters. She mentions that she actually convinced April to try it out. That poor girl. Seems like the Wednesday session is inevitable. Unable to sleep, Max ends up going to see the mirror at nearly 3 in the morning. He just sits on a crate and stares at the thing. What is the trick to it? He examines it as much as he can, but he just can't figure it out. He's dead tired by this point, sitting in this room for who knows how long until he hears a whisper. He doesn't know if it's real or in his head. It sounds so far away. Is it coming from his reflection? He runs as fast as he can and hides in his bed. Max is shaking, practically scarred at whatever was whispering to him. The cure arrives just in time, though. Whitey. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend hugging a dog to reduce stress. This is not an actual medical statement, please don't sue me. With Whitey snoring on the floor, Max eventually gets to sleep. In the morning, Mom wakes him up and he has to get dressed, but his shirt starts floating. Of course, Lefty hasn't learned a thing. Lefty grabs a pair of jeans now and dances around Max until they just fall to the ground. Max keeps yelling at him, but now there's no response. He tells Lefty that he's scared. That usually gets him to quit joking around, but still nothing. Another he's gone cliffhanger. Hopefully this one actually means something. Max runs up to the attic and flips off the light. Maybe Lefty's gone forever. No, he's not. He reappears right next to Max, but something's off. He looks a little strange. Is something different about his hair? He's acting pretty dismissive too. Max has finally decided that there will be no more mirrors. He's going to call all of his friends when he gets back from his cousin's house and let them know that the mirror is off limits. He feels like a weight is lifted off of his shoulders now, but future Max lets us know that the worst is yet to come. It's Wednesday, and the friends are all here? But Max called it off. Well, actually, Lefty called them all to tell them the fun was back on. How unexpected. He's not even here, he's at a softball practice. Well, time to go have some fun. Aaron even whispers, "Let's get invisible." April wants to get her turn done and get it over with. She wants to know what it feels like, but isn't part of this stupid competition. Max keeps trying to express his hesitation, but Zach and Aaron are too hyped and too rude that Max just gives up and lets it happen. It's April's turn this time, but right as Zach pulls the string, Whitey runs right next to April. Oh no! Max demands that they pull the chain right away, so April didn't get much time being invisible, but I agree that helping the dog was the best choice. Even though April could just try again right away, Max tries yet again to get the other kids to stop using the mirror. That doesn't go well. The competition resumes, and April will have another turn when it's over. The time to beat? 10 minutes. It's Aaron's turn first. Not much to really say for most of this. How many chapters have just been dedicated to these kids sitting around and messing around while being invisible? Did you know that this was the longest book in the original series? Max just sits around thinking about why Lefty called the kids back. Just another prank? Well, it's around the 8-minute mark when Aaron goes unresponsive. Just like Lefty, she's gone! I think I'm just gonna lose it. It's like a dumb horror movie plot like Ouija or Truth or Dare. Just stop playing with the damn thing. At least in this situation, they're like 6th graders, so they're justifiably a little stupid. Well, actually, Aaron's just fine. By the 9-minute mark, she comes back upstairs after grabbing herself a delicious Coca-Cola. But at 12 minutes, she's not responding again. So Max pulls the chain, hoping she's okay. And she is. Or is she? Something is slightly off with her. Max just can't figure it out. Well, she's the new champ, so Zach says he's aiming for 15 whole minutes. While Zach is invisible, Max makes sure that Aaron is okay. She says she feels great, but why didn't she answer when they called for her at 12 minutes? Well, she just didn't hear him. Okay then. Well, Zach has an idea to make his time interesting. We're gonna go outside and terrorize the neighbors. This poor man, Mr. Evander, is outside tending his garden when Zach shows up and juggles some tomatoes. The sight of floating tomatoes leaves the man awestruck, and we get one of those comedic moments where he tells his wife to look, but then Zach drops the tomatoes every time she does look. Some pretty harmless fun to be had, and back to the attic they go. At the 12-minute mark, the same thing happens, and even though Aaron really wants them to wait until 15 minutes, Max brings Zach back. The difference is clear this time. Zach's Skrillex hairstyle is completely mirrored. It only takes about one sentence for Zach to gaslight Max, and the subject is dropped. Max really doesn't want to compete, but with enough force, Aaron and Zach hold him in place and pull the chain. Even Max realizes that we've reached the limits of this gimmick. He's just going to stand still and wait until he wins the record. Aaron and Zach just seem different. He can't figure out why. Everything's fine until about 11 minutes when the light gets painful again. He yells out for Zach to get him out, and he feels far away again. All Max can see is Zach's shadow approach the chain until another shadow enters the room. Mom! Zach drops the chain as Mom starts examining the mirror. Max calls out for help, but no one seems to be able to hear him. That weightless feeling from before lifts him off the ground and floats him right into the mirror. A kaleidoscope of all colors in a strangely liquid realm of glass. He floats further until the colors fade and eventually everything is white.
Hello, Max.
A familiar voice calls out. He's not alone. The figure approaches quickly. It's him! Max. His reflection, that is.
I've been waiting here for you.
Max cries out and begins to run, but he stops as faces appear around him. Countless faces twisted in both happiness and sadness. People he doesn't know. Aaron and Zach? This can't be. They all try to talk to him at once, but they don't respond to his cries for help either. Suddenly, Max's reflection spins him around. Ever since he turned on the light, his reflection has been waiting to go free. His other friends gave up easily, all trapped within the mirror now. Max desperately tries to think of what to do, maybe stall for time, but it doesn't work. Time to switch places! Somehow, Max manages to pull away and start running. He doesn't stop, knowing that his reflection is right behind him. Eventually, the colors start to return, and he practically leaps out of the mirror as Zach pulls the chain. Him and Aaron ask if the switch was made. Behind them, Max's reflection appears angry in the mirror. Pressed up against the glass, his reflection lets the others know that the switch wasn't made. April starts to freak out, but Aaron and Zach just ignore her as they force Max back under. The reflection taunts Max within the mirror. Just a few more minutes and he'll be back in the white void. Max yells for April to get help somehow, but Aaron and Zach block her from moving. Suddenly, Lefty appears in the doorway and sees Max's reflection. Think fast! He throws his softball straight towards the reflection, thinking it was really the real Max. It shatters the mirror into pieces. Max's reflection can't even react in time, and Aaron and Zach's reflection scream as they get sucked right into the broken pieces. Lefty even has to hold himself against the doorway so the airflow doesn't suck him into the room. The real Aaron and Zach reappear, and the day is saved. They explain what happened to April and Lefty. Aaron and Zach help clean up the pieces of the mirror, and they vow to never speak of any of this to anyone. Lefty asks if Zach wants to play catch, and sure, why not? It'll help calm him down after everything that happened. They toss around for a bit until Max stops in fear. Lefty's throwing the ball with his right hand. Well, I guess they're going to call him righty now. Seriously, this was one of the most obvious twists so far. They make it clear that Lefty called the friends over, and he had to keep himself from being sucked into the room, which didn't affect the real people at all. Not only that, he just seems to talk differently too, not nearly as hyperactive and childish. What's the goal now? I guess the Lefties are just permanently swapped now. It's actually such an interesting idea, and a gripe that I've been having with these books since Monster Blood. The most interesting parts of the books keep getting saved for the last 20 pages. Now, I don't want to treat these videos like a review, but these intermissions have become my place to express my opinions because I write these right after reading every chapter. This book has so much repetition, at least about 6 cliffhangers for someone just going missing, and just a lot of screwing around in the same room. The last few chapters with the mirror world and the floating faces of captured people was so interesting. You really want to know more, like, who are the other faces, previous victims? Where did the mirror even come from? Are the reflections truly evil? Lefty's reflection is pretty much left alone in this world and doesn't even seem that bad. What if Righty here broke the mirror on purpose to live out his life forever? The concept isn't new, but the implications of living with a reflection of your brother for the rest of your life could be fascinating. Speaking of concepts, I'll keep it brief this time, but this book has one, and most likely 2, big inspirations. The first is the movie Flatliners from 1990. Stein tweeted this out back in 2010, and if you know the plot of it, you can see the connection. In that movie, scientists die so that they can see visions of the afterlife, and the other scientists just bring them back. A clear parallel to how the kids fade to this cold void until someone brings them back, and of course, the longer you stay, the harder it is to fix. I mean, you see it. Another inspiration, which isn't confirmed but almost certainly true, was the episode Mirror Image from The Twilight Zone. I won't bore you with the whole plot like I did with Say Cheese and Die, but the main plot revolves around a woman confronted with what seems to be her evil twin the entire episode. Or perhaps it was inspired by the Star Trek episode Mirror Mirror, with the evil versions of those characters. You know, who knows what's going on in Stein's mind? The evil twin thing has been a concept for a long time. Well, anyway, there's still an episode. Will it be better? Or even worse? Let's find out. So the episode starts and Aaron's already here. No birthday party? They hear some rumbling from this culturally insensitive bookshelf and whoa, it's Lefty. You know, they actually call him Noah the whole episode. The only way you know he's left-handed is when he catches this stiletto and says,
"Left-handers rule."
Lefty's throw is so powerful that Max knocks everything over, destroying a part of the wall. Not a wooden door, and not found by Whitey either. Is Whitey even in this episode? Maybe they ran out of border collies to replace things with. The room is decently accurate, except for the fact that there's a window here. And look at this mirror. In the book it's just a wooden frame, but this one is wacky. Despite the new window shining the brightest moonlight I've ever seen, the room doesn't have a regular light like the book. So Max hits the only light in the room and... I guess April isn't in the episode either. Huh. Well, Max is invisible and comes back with some very convincing emotional work. And just listen to how many times they use the boom effect.
What's with you guys?
Max, you were gone.
Don't be stupid. That flash of light must have fried your eyeballs, that's all.
You were invisible.
Yeah, you were.
You really were.
Wow.
They swear to never tell about this room to anyone, and really make sure you know that Noah is left-handed. There's this short scene where they actually show that the light isn't plugged in, a good hint to it being paranormal. Okay, never mind. They're just gonna give the mirror this weird fog effect to make it really obvious. So we get this weird shot of Max gargling mouthwash and then just staring into the mirror. I'm not even editing the scene right now, it just keeps going. I suppose that was supposed to show his endless thinking about the mirror. A little bit of internal thought can go a long way. Lefty pops out just like the book and Max says,
I ought to pound you.
"Stop saying that." We get these warped shots from inside the camera that make it look like someone's watching them, and then they both go invisible. We get some nice green screen effects too. Did this ever fool you as a kid? So Zach is at least in the episode. He doesn't get that Skrillex cut from the book, but he does have an earring on his left ear. Mom has to leave for some errands and I guess she's a biker? Okay, what is the obsession here? I got pissed off at Casey and stayed out of the basement for some peanut butter BS, but look at this. Zach just grabs their peanut butter and just dips his fingers in. Are you shitting me? What is going on? Anyway, Zach thinks the invisibility is amazing. Aaron and Max aren't feeling good, so Lefty turns it off. They think about what this power could be used for. They could be famous. They could...
We could invade the girls' washroom.
No! Since April isn't in the episode, Aaron inherits her cautiousness. The timing begins and Max goes in. After only a few seconds though, he starts to feel like he's floating away. They give the mirror this nether portal effect and Lefty breaks the chain like how Zach did in the book. Aaron does get the chain, but instead of using a box, she just perfectly lassos her keychain around it. Max eventually comes back, but he's freezing cold. He actually describes the colored area from the mirror dimension and begs the group to not use the mirror. This is when Lefty agrees with his fingers crossed, and this time it actually has a bit of weight to it. You aren't used to Lefty being an absolute jerk in this version, so him lying after such a terrible experience hurts a little bit more. We get our dinner scene with Lefty messing around, but the grandparents aren't here. They have some awkward banter about Zach's earring, and the parents aren't even paying attention to anything, so Max doesn't need to bother. He just grabs Lefty like an invisible animal and takes him to the hallway. Lefty says he doesn't feel good and poof, he's gone. Sucked into the mirror dimension, I assume. Max goes to the attic and the fake Lefty is right there. No need to even pull the chain. He's clearly different too. He talks in the same obviously weird way that the kids from Dead House did.
Whatever you say, Max.
That weird Max whispering happens right now too. But instead of a whisper, he's just yelling at him. So Max comes home from baseball and the friends are already here. Not because Lefty called them, but just because they wanted to hang out. Just kidding, Zach wanted to use the mirror. And I guess Aaron didn't have the willpower to stop him. There's a clear indication when people are about to disappear, because their voices start to warp and sound far away. Aaron and Max pull the chain and Zach's fine. His weird behavior and earring on the wrong ear are nothing to worry about. Aaron isn't changed in this version, so Zach overpowers Max by himself, and whoa. I didn't really know how they were going to adapt the mirror world, but I guess this works. I feel like a white void would have not just been more accurate, but easier. But whatever. The scenes with Max and his reflection are pretty accurate to the book, but Max doesn't seem very scared. He starts running, but instead of the floating faces, he just sees... well, I don't know what the hell this is, really. A bunch of random objects just float by until he sees a door, and behind it is... oh, there's the faces. But it's more like people being trapped in the Phantom Zone. Both Maxes start fighting at the same time that Aaron and Zach do. Aaron somehow manages to win out and pull the light, returning Max back to the real world. He's actually pretty much frozen, and he tells Aaron to break the mirror. I don't know how he knew that that would fix it, but it makes a bit more sense than Lefty just throwing the ball at it like an idiot. With the lightest throw, the mirror shatters to pieces, switching the Zachs back to normal. But what's this? It seems like the mirror can regenerate in this version. Interesting. Instead of playing catch, Max and Lefty are cleaning dishes, and Lefty throws Dad a cup with his right hand. With a devilish smirk, Righty stares right at us, and the mirror light comes back on. This is actually an episode that almost benefits from having such a short runtime. The book feels so padded with similar scenes of everyone trying out the mirror. The only fresh parts are when we get the dinner scene, gardening scene, and the mirror dimension. The episode cuts nearly all of it, but still keeps the dinner scene and the mirror dimension. It even gives us a new cliffhanger that completely changes the context. I love the nuance of the book's ending much better, don't get me wrong, but the mirror regenerating gives a clear-cut endgame to those watching. Maybe Righty will knock Max out and put him in the mirror dimension. They could introduce new people to the mirror for fun and start a whole mirror world takeover. With just a simple change like that, the implications are so interesting. The heads near the end make it seem like other mirrors could have trapped people too, or it's just an aesthetic thing. If any of you own a hand mirror with a light on it, watch out. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I plan on keeping these videos coming consistently, so your support means everything to me. Be ready for the next book in the series, the fan favorite, Night of the Living Dummy.